Well, Mexican cartels are now offering so-called VIP packages for illegal migrants to enter the U.S., charging up to $15,000 to help them cross the border via underground tunnels. And NewsNation's Jorge Ventura joining us live in San Antonio with this. Jorge, what services do these VIP packages include? Do we know which cartels are offering them?
Yeah, Natasha, we are learning about some new tactics now by Mexican cartels when it comes to smuggling. They're offering these VIP packages to migrants coming to the United States through a network of tunnels. Now, one of the ways they are doing this now is that cartels are now giving codes to migrants. This specific code will identify which cartel has already been paid. By doing this, when migrants are making their way into the U.S. through these underground tunnels, they won't be harassed by either local law enforcement or other rival groups. According to USA Today, these packages can range from anywhere from $6,000 to $15,000 per person. These VIP packages offer migrants a safer way to cross to the U.S. as transnational groups are taking advantage of the 300 miles of storm drains across the border. One of the cartels being investigated by Mexican and U.S. authorities is La Línea cartel, which is linked to smuggling nearly 1,000 migrants through tunnels every month. Mexican National Guard members, local police, and immigration officials are allegedly complicit in this operation. So far, local law enforcement, particularly in Juarez, have denied these allegations, Natasha.
And Jorge, I want to ask you about technology here, because we know many migrants have said their first encounter with cartels is through social media. And it's interesting that they're navigating this trip using their phones. What can you tell us about this?
So we've been speaking with U.S. Border Patrol, who is telling us that there is this new trend that they're called guileless groups, where now cartels and smugglers, what they're doing is they're giving migrants phones that already have the routes here into the U.S. and which lanes to take. And this is pretty important because for the cartels, this minimizes the risk, right? The old school smuggling tradition is you have a smuggler that guide big groups of migrants across the border, but then this puts a smuggler at risk with being arrested, especially here in Texas with Texas DPS on the border. So what cartels are now doing is they want to avoid those arrests, giving these migrants now these phones that already have the routes to take here, now relying on GPS technology. Here's what U.S. Border Patrol is telling NewsNation about this new trend.
Giving these migrants a phone with a pre-programmed route. It already has a map on there from point A to point B. Point A being where they will cross, all the way up to point B being what areas to avoid, letting them know if there is a higher number or presence of agents in that area. And then it leads up to a pickup point, up to what location they have to walk to.
And essentially, Natasha, for smugglers, this is a win-win situation because migrants are still being smuggled. They are still able to make thousands of dollars every day off that smuggling. And now smugglers aren't being arrested at the border because of this new trend, guileless groups.
Yeah, guileless. It's interesting. Jorge, we've spoken at length about cartels and drug smuggling. Are we seeing their business shift increasingly to human smuggling? And tell us why.
Yes, we are, Natasha. It really has to do with profits and risk. So normally when it comes to drug smuggling, let's say, for example, a kilo of cocaine gets smuggled into the U.S. Cartels make an average about $1,500, but the risk is much higher because you still need to get that drug to an address here in the United States. Now, when it comes to humans, they don't have to worry about that. It's just about getting those humans across the border. And now with this new GPS technology, it kind of takes that risk out. And right now, cartels are making anywhere from $6,000 up to $30,000 per human, depending on that nationality. And essentially, Natasha, with this migrant crisis, there's an unlimited supply of migrants being smuggled. Essentially now, too, when we're now seeing migrants from literally all over the world that are willing to pay up to 5 times the normal amount to be smuggled. So it's a new trend that we're seeing where they're moving away from the drugs and just focusing particularly on humans. It's something that we'll continue to watch as now cartels are more than ever relying on technology to smuggle humans into the U.S.
Yeah, Jorge, we have to go, but I want to ask very quickly, which nationality would be the most expensive? What would warrant the $30,000 end of that range?
So something we've been consistently reporting on here in NewsNation is that Chinese nationals are the ones who are willing to pay up to 30 grand to be smuggled into the U.S. It's also another reason why, Natasha, you never see Chinese nationals in caravans in Mexico. Cartels actually provide them which routes to take, which flights to take into the U.S. And we've been reporting that the Chinese national surge that we continue to see has been in the San Diego sector.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.